Right then guys, this is a bit of an impromptu video where I'm literally just going to gush over the 6th edition Vampire Counts Codex. I looked at this codex recently when I was doing my overall sort of, what killed fantasy video that I did. But I didn't really, pay that much attention to it because obviously I was talking about all of them. But I was talking about this with my friends in the garden yesterday while getting sunburnt, and it made me have a look, want to have a look through this book again when I got home on my own time. And oh my goodness, it's better than I remember. I already love this book. It's one of my favourite army books just ever. And it's even better than I remember it. I had so much fun looking through this book. There's more things than I even remember. And it made me so excited about this army that I was straight on eBay. And I spent a lot of money impulsively buying a bunch of skeleton units and zombie units pre-built that I can just paint when they get to me. I've already got 20 Black Knights that I'm working through on my desk right now. I'm supposed to be working on a Black Legion Chaos Space Marines army, but I just found them in a box in the drawer and I just got started. They're great. And so I'm just going to gush over this book. I already mentioned, in my Warhammer video that this book, like all the 6th edition Warhammer books really, it's just good, from page 1 it's gorgeous. You have all of this nice sort of parchment work. The lore is so lovely, it's just full of stories. The look of the book is incredible. You've got map. Look at how they used to do maps. The maps these days don't look like anything, and it's just, there's so much and it's gorgeous to look at. You've got all these nice bits of artwork. And you absolutely can't beat all of these classic Warhammer scenes. Like, look at these houses, these old houses they used to make, and all the old skeletons. It just looks so classic. I absolutely love it. It just makes you feel a certain way. I didn't think I could feel this way about anything besides women, but here we are. This is just, it's so good. And then you even get towards the back. And look at this. It's got somebody's finger. But enough about the way that it looks. What I really wanted, what excited me, and this is the important thing, is, that I've said, I'm not going to just complain about the later editions, but, what I said basically in my long video is that Warhammer got boring, Games Workshop got boring, the codexes, army books, just got increasingly basic until, the travesty we had with 8th edition. They just got more and more boring. This is during Games Workshop's kind of spiteful sort of fan hatred period where they were pressing this ridiculous idea that they're a model company first and foremost and they don't need to put out rules because it's just for selling models. I've always disagreed with that, always thought it was nonsense. It is a game. It's the main reason people buy it, and the rules got more and more basic because of that. But this back here, this is one they really loved and cared about the game. And it is unbelievably in-depth and so rich. And like I said, there's stuff I'd even completely forgotten about, but just reading it made me excited. We're not going to talk about the items. The customization is what makes this army so inviting. It's like it's the roleplay element cranked up to the max. It's so roleplay. You just read this book and it makes you excited. You want to make your vampire. You want to make your whole vampire coven and build them an army. Because you get to this section here. You have bloodlines and vampiric abilities, and they give you rules for the bloodlines themselves, and then you get an additional page for Von Carstein, Blood Dragon, Necroc, Strigoi and Lamia, just to buy them things in the same way you can buy artifacts. And unfortunately you didn't get these on top of artifacts. You had to, these did eat up your artifact points, but it's still okay. But you had a page in itself where it said, Von Carstein, there's no additional rules because that's just the archetype. But then Necroc, you got +1 for casting magic, but -2 to weapon skill. Blood Dragon's got +2 weapon skill. They could wear full plate armor for the 4+ save and cast magic while wearing it. The Strigoi got +1 attack and a 5+ ward save. But they can't use any weapons or armor. Lamia got +2 initiative. -1 weapon skill for opponents. Crazy. So you've already got your vampires customized, just by choosing one. I've got a Necroc here. He's the only one that I had painted, unfortunately. Just already choosing your vampires, there's customizability, that makes your army different compared to even other armies. And then you can buy these things Von Carstein, you know, he does all the classic Dracula things. You can summon bats, call winds. You call the winds, and everything on the battlefield is just -1 to hit in terms of shooting, from handgunners to, you know, whatever. It's crazy, you know. You can summon wolves, so you can turn into a wolf, so you can move 9 inches. Incredible. Blood dragons, you know, that's all stuff like +1 attack, +1 strength on the charge, reroll, missed hits. Oh, absolutely incredible stuff. You Necroc, these are like the Sorcerer Masters. You can buy them an additional wizard level. You can buy them an additional power. So they've got, you know, level 4 with, you know, 5 known powers. Absolutely incredible. I love the Necroc. They're so creepy and weird. You know, then you've got Strigoi, you know, you've got bat form, so they can fly. Iron Sinews, +1 strength. You can summon ghouls. Infinite hatred, you hate everything. Regeneration, crazy. And then Lamia, you've got all these things like Beguile, Transfix, Quick Blood, Domination, Seduction, to just manipulate enemy characters, you know, into not fighting you or fighting you worse, or attacking your enemies, or you know, giving you invulnerable saves. So good. So good. So just alone, you know, even without the war gear, and you have a lot of war gear again, obviously there's a lot of war gear here. You know, there's so much customization. It just makes you interested. It makes you so you just want to make vampires and get, you know, one of each model, and just have a whole coven of vampires, give them a name, and then just, you know, kit them out with these, you know, these different bloodline abilities that they have, and even just, you know, the bloodline itself changes them in some way. Then you can buy these other abilities. Makes you want to do it. And then, you know what? And then a bit that I didn't even remember this bit. I got to the back and I thought I was finished. And then it gives you this here, Legions of the Dead. That I don't think I'd even seen this before, but reading it, it made me so excited, my head exploded. I'm back to life now though, so it's okay. You know, and it gives you a whole army list, a unique army list for each bloodline. So if you're Von Carstein, you can basically have Sylvanian militia. You're the rightful lord of all Sylvania, and this allows you to use some mortals. You have your you know, grim Sylvanian mortals. You can have Sylvanian levies, crossbowmen, free companies, archers, huntsmen. Brilliant. And while it gives you access to potentially new units, you know, it limits you in some other ways. It tells you what are core units, it tells you what special units are, gives you maybe some limits. It's absolutely great. So you can have your, you know, your mortal followers with your Von Carsteins. If you play Necroc, I doubt anybody did this because they were a really expensive model that you could only really get with the Zachariah, the Ever-Living model, but you could take unridden zombie dragons as rare choices. So you'd have this Necroc vampire and, you know, a number of just zombie dragons. It's absolutely incredible. But again, it would, you know, it would limit other things you could take. You know, Necromancer's army. So if you wanted your army just, you know, completely run by a Necromancer, you could do that, but there's no vampires. You have Master Necromancer for Lord. Then heroes, you can have Necromancers or White Lords. And then you can have, you know, skeletons and stuff. And basically it gives you the option to do a whole army with no vampires. And, you know, so you can have your Master Necromancer and have these, you know, these white kings, White Lords as his, you know, his brutes, his muscles, and then just have skeleton legions. The Lamians, this one, man, I got this is what's, you know, this is just the good stuff. This is what really made me want to do a video on this. And I'm not even at the end yet. Lamians, they basically function in society, unlike a lot of the other vampires where they're sort of on the fringes of society and they often attack humans. Lamians, you know, they actually pretty much live within society. They're within the Empire, Britannia, whatever. If there's a human kingdom, then there's Lamians in it. And they have this amazing rule here where you can choose a Swain. And a Swain is a hero from any other Warhammer rulebook. And because what they do is they sort of like, they bite somebody, give them some of their blood, and basically make them kind of lovesick slave that's just eternally dedicated to their mistress. And this lets you choose a Swain from any other rulebook. You could have a Lamian vampire lady and an ogre bruiser who's just, you know, in love with her and like a vampire thrall. Or you could have a chaos champion, who you could have, a lizard man. You could have, I mean, thematically, fittingly, it's really, I think it's, so you could have like an Empire general well, not a general, they're a lord choice, but you know, an Empire captain or a Bretonnian paladin, that sort of thing, because they're often what the Lamians would attach themselves to, a powerful, you know, human kingdom guy. But just the idea that you could have a, you know, a little Lamian vampire lady with a big ogre bruiser, or, you know, chaos hero, or lizard man, or literally anything. It says any army book in the game could be a Skaven. I don't think she'd want a Skaven anywhere near her though. Or an orc, a big orc hero. It's so silly, so fun, and I think it would just be so cool and so thematic to just, you know, make this and just have it as a thing. You know, for me, I probably would go for an ogre bruiser or something, just some absolutely giant guy. But you know, it'd be funny with it, have him all wearing like puffy, frilly clothes. You know, so he's dressed like a Sylvanian nobleman. It's so silly, but it's so fun. And if she's destroyed, if the Lamian general was destroyed, then they get hatred for the rest of the game, because obviously they're furious now. And now the next one, Strigoi, you don't really... Oh, I'll get to Strigoi. Blood Dragons, this one excited me so much. This one made me just want to, you know, start a whole army right now, because Blood Dragons, this basically gives you the option to run a undead Bretonnian army. This gives you the option to run like the undead knights of Musalon or something. This is so good. It makes Black Knights core choices. So you can have Vampire Lords, Vampire Counts as Lords, Vampire Thralls, White Lords as heroes, but it's core units. You get Black Knights as core choices. You also get Graveguard as core choices. They're normally special, but they're core choices. And it gives you the option for Skeleton Bowmen, which I think are in, you know, a new unit really. You don't need to get Skeleton Bowmen, I don't think, in this book. You might do though. But you know, you get Black Knights and Graveguard. And what's so cool is there's a little addendum here that says all the nightmares must have barding. They have to be barded. And they can use the lance formation. You know, normally the lance formation is this unique to Britannia thing. You can have a whole army led by Blood Dragon vampires of Black Knights using the lance formation in that sort of 3 wide, you know, 5 deep kind of thing. This is incredible. This is literally what I've always wanted. Back in the day when fantasy was still around, I got into vampire counts just wanting to make a whole army out of Black Knights. And it never went anywhere because I found out you couldn't do it. You know, they were special choices and you still had to make most of your army, especially in 8th edition, with, you know, just hordes of skeletons and zombies and things. And I didn't want that, so I gave up on the army. But in 6th edition, I could have done literally exactly what I wanted to do. Have a big undead army of skeleton Black Knights, maybe some converted, you know, undead Bretonnian knights, and just play undead Bretonnians. You know, you even get the lance formations. It's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's so fun. It's like exactly what I wanted, but didn't have access to in these basic crappy books. And then you get the Strigoi. Now the Strigoi give you a new core choice option of ghouls, which I think again are normally special. In the case of Blood Dragons and the Strigoi, the regular skeleton warriors actually become special choices. So you get ghouls as troops, but it also unlocks a new unit type called Strigony. You can actually use Strigony. Now, similar to the Von Carsteins with their Sylvanian levies, this basically gives you mortals. You know, they're humans. They're essentially Empire free guilds type units armed with 2-hand weapons. And it's so thematic because in the fluff, the Strigoi are like sort of the fathers of the Strigony people. The Strigony people are basically gypsies, basically fantasy Warhammer gypsies, with a dark heritage where they sort of came from the kingdom of the fallen Strigoi. I think it was attacked by a big orc horde, you know, and the city was destroyed by the orcs, and everyone just scattered. So now they're this sort of traveling, you know, caravan type people, and it's so cool. It's so cool that you could do this. These whole 2 pages here, like I said, I don't even remember them, but they just given me. There's so much inspiration between doing a unique army like this. Again, I love the Blood Dragons, Lamians. Okay, you know, it's so good. Between this and all the other customization that I just talked about, there was just so much in this amazing book. It just, you read it and it inspires you. You know, like I said, I came home from talking about it with my friends, read it, and I was on eBay buying units. And you know, I'm well into a vampire count army at this point. And you know, we're gonna have to play 7th or 6th or something at some point. It's so good. And this is I'm not going to really, you know, make this video run into what I was talking about, but I was basically saying in my long video, in my long Warhammer video, that part of the reason Warhammer died, in my opinion, was just the lack of, it wasn't interesting anymore. It was so boring because, you know, book by book, this basically came along, ruined everything that was in here. It wasn't awful, but it was very basic by comparison. You know, you didn't have any of those special army types that I just read out. You didn't have really many vampiric powers anymore. You didn't have anything that just changed about you from being a certain bloodline. And then, you know, by the time this piece of trash came out, you had nothing. You had no magic items. You had like one of each type. There was no army, you know, special army lists. There was no bloodline differentiation. And even the vampiric gifts were a uniformed thing where, you know, anybody could choose any vampiric gift they wanted. And it wasn't even, you know, set out between the certain vampire towns. It's just a big empty book of nothing from that spiteful time where Games Workshop thought they were a model company instead of a games company and didn't put any thought into making this rubbish. And it's just so sad, you know, these books, these boring, bland books that, you know, they don't inspire you. Nothing about this book inspires you. I bought this book on release and it pretty much was so bad that it immediately made me give up on the damn vampires. Because it was just trash. It was empty rubbish. You know, compared to this, where you just flick through this and it makes you want to play. You just flick through it, and it makes you just want to play because there's so much customization, so much uniqueness, so much depth in roleplay. It's incredible. It grabs you and it makes you want to do something. You want to do Undead Bretonnians? Go do it. You want a Larmian cult with a lovesick Saurus warrior? Go do it, you know? You want a caravan of Strigony? You want some militia state troops escorting their vampire lord? You want actual difference between the vampire lords? You want the Von Carstein guy to feel different to the Necrot guy and the Larmian woman and the you know, it's so good. This is, you know, for me, the golden age. This is when they put the effort in. This is the kind of book that you pick up and you see it at a club after school and you just flick through it. You see it in the club after school, like I did probably, and you flick through it and you're just sucked in. You're interested and it makes you want to learn about the army. It makes you want to learn about the game. You know, you see something like this knocking around at an after-school club. You're a 13-year-old today, you see this knocking around at an after-school club. Trash. You'll pick it up and go, what the hell's this? It's an empty book. It's all boring. There's nothing in it. Nothing grabs you. Nothing really makes you want to do anything, you know. You get to the back and it's just this. Fucking trash. So I'm going to end the video there. This book is amazing. I might talk about the other 6th edition books individually like this because they're all bloody great. But this is just a spur of the moment thing that I wanted to make. And if you're interested, then great. I hope you enjoy my little ramble. I hope that when the old world comes back, Games Workshop is more like this and less like that, and we get this kind of depth and interest back again, which is really what made Warhammer great in the first place. But well, that's it, because I could ramble on for another hour. So I'm not going to. I'll end the video there. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and I'll see you again in another video. Goodbye.